As a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years now, I've seen my clients go through some pretty scary transitions. Divorce, loss of a job, death of a spouse. And as scary as those transitions are, for the most part, my clients don't have control over it. It's not that they're choosing to start that difficult transition. But one of the transitions that is under their control, and because it's difficult, because it's scary, oftentimes they put off the transition. And that's the transition from working unto retirement. And because it's under your control, you can push that off. But I really want to caution you, because it's as painful as doing a transition like this is, it's just scary. It's the unknown, right? We have this warm and cozy world here, or I should say the warm and cozy world here, and we're transitioning to this unknown world on the other side. And that just can cause a lot of stress. It can cause a lot of heartache. But you know what's scarier than going through a transition like this? And before I go there, I want to say, you know, at some point, you're going to have to go through this transition anyways, right? Whether you do this transition at 50, 55, 60, or 70, at some point, you're going to have to make this transition, unless you're the rare breed that works until the day you die. And very few of us are going to look back on our deathbed and say, man, am I glad I did that. I do think there's some people. I think Warren Buffett's going to be in that situation. His business partner, Charlie Munger, just died, you know, worked at 99, worked all the way until the end. So, and I do believe that Charlie's glad that he made that decision. But for most of us, we're going to have regrets if we do that. And I don't want that to happen to you. So, you know, things that are harder than going through the transition into retirement that we have to keep in mind as we're thinking about this is, you know, what happens when you're on your deathbed and you have regrets? I wish I had traveled the world. You know, I wish when I was younger, I'd taken care of my aging father, my aging mother, and spent that time with them and had that kind of last bonding moment before they left. And, you know, now it's been years or decades until you've been able to see or talk with that parent. And so there can be regret there. There's all kinds of regrets, you know. I wish I had spent more time with my grandkids. I wish I had been more available. I wish I had worked for this not-for-profit that I had a heart for. Or I was in a rock and roll band in college, and I don't know what happened, you know. Somehow I ended up on this corporate path, but, you know, I could have resurrected the rock and roll band in my 50s and had a lot of fun with my buddies. So these regrets, we don't get to dial back the clock, unfortunately. So that's something that's more challenging. Living with what ifs, you know, what adventures could you have? What if you had said yes to your friends and gone on that backpacking trip through Europe? Or what if you had decided to move with that girlfriend or that boyfriend after college and stuck together, right? And so these are all transitions. Now that's a transition that happened earlier, but there's similar ones now. What if you're divorced now? And you're thinking, you know, it might be nice to get remarried. I know a lot of divorced people at my age that never want to remarry. But if you do want to remarry, you know, what if you had said goodbye to your career and spent time, you know, really finding that right person for you for the next stage, whether you get married or not. As we all know, there's still a marriage penalty here in the United States. So some people, they just want a life partner. And what if you gave yourself the time in order to find that person, if that's important to you? You know, another thing is, you know, what if you had pursued that second opportunity? I talk often with my clients about, you know, if you've never had a chance to pursue an entrepreneurial dream, if you've never had a chance to start a company, you know, in your 50s, in your 60s, particularly if you're already financially independent, it's the perfect time to start a company because there's no downside, right? Don't put too much of your money in, right? The nice thing is about becoming wealthy, becoming financially independent, is you only have to do that once. And then job number one is don't lose that wealth. So if you've always wanted to start a company and you can afford to leave your job, you know, what if you do that? And what if you just, you know, put a little bit of money in as kind of seed capital, or you raise money from some friends and family, or you just bootstrap the thing, and do it as cost effectively as you can. Wouldn't it be nice to know, you know what, I had my chance at the plate, and I took a full swing. I gave it everything that I had. And maybe it works out and maybe it doesn't, but I think you'll look back and you'll be proud of yourself for taking that chance. So is the transition from working into retirement, is that scary? You bet it is. But you know what else is scarier, I think, is to think about the person that you were meant to be, the person that you could have become, particularly at this age, right, where our responsibilities for many of us are behind us. We've raised our families. Hopefully we've paid off our mortgage, or we're getting close to paying off our mortgage, or we've made the decision never to have a mortgage. And so we have all of these responsibilities lifted off of us, but yet we still have the vitality and the energy and the mental acuity to go after our biggest dreams. And I think it would really be a shame to, once that's gone, to think, what if I had pursued that? What would have happened? I have a friend that tells me that hell is meeting the person that you were meant to be, or meeting the person that you could have or should have become. And I agree, that would be hard. I do believe that there's a highest and best use, a highest and best life for me. And one of the things I work on is, am I living up to that? And it's got to be something that I'm passionate about, right? In high school, I was really good at math. It doesn't mean I should be a mathematician, right? So it's, what is your purpose? What is, this is your life's work. And I'm fortunate. I can remember having this conversation when I joined my company as a financial advisor after a couple of years. I came into work one day and I told my boss, I found my life's work. I think I want to do this for the next couple decades of my life. And, as a 40-year-old, late 30s, early 40-year-old, that's a neat thing to be able to find that. But, what's your next purpose? And can you start transitioning now? And what would that look like? And what would it take in order to be able to do that? Because as scary as the transition into retirement is, let me share with you what I consider to be the 3 most scary words for anyone really, but particularly for somebody that's 50 or 60. Remember, when we're 60 years old, we likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time remaining. That's not a lot of time. And for any of us, we could hear at any moment the 3 scariest words that a doctor can tell anybody. You have cancer. And if that moment comes to you, and I hope it never does, but I want you to be able to look back at how you spent the last 5 years, the last 10 years, how you spent the youth of your senior years, and say, I squeezed all the juice out of life. I took full advantage of the youth of my senior years. And in that regard, there's a video I want you to watch that talks about the 8 things that I want you to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy the journey more. I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching this video.